There are some countries where this challenge is impossible. Let me explain. There's 195 recognized countries, but there are two letters that do not have a single country: W and X. W and X are the two letters without a single country name. W could just use the West of Sahara flag, but West of Sahara is not really a country. It's just desert that Morocco claims that some other guys claim. But what about the countries that are impossible? So we're gonna start the alphabetical order. So any countries with the letter W and X are impossible. Bull. Because every other letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, Y, and Z. And one region of the world takes up three letters: O, Q, and Z, and that's the Middle East. Where they get Yemen, Oman, and Qatar. If these countries didn't exist, Y would also be impossible. Q and O would also be impossible as well. But thanks to countries like Oman, you could do countries with the letter O, Q, and Y. The first country that is basically impossible is Botswana. Botswana is a country in Africa, and of course it has W. There is absolutely zero countries that start with W, which makes this challenge for Botswana impossible if you live in Botswana. The next country that is basically impossible is Eswatini, or formerly known as Swaziland. Of course, like with Botswana, there's no countries that start with W. So yep, no countries that start with W, which makes it impossible. The next country where it's basically impossible is Kuwait. Kuwait is a country in the Middle East, and of course there's no countries that start with the letter W, so Kuwait is indeed impossible. Luxembourg is the first country with the letter X in it. Luxembourg is impossible because there's no countries that start with the letter X. And Luxembourg is one of the very few countries that have the letter X in it at all. No, because X is a very rarely used letter in the English alphabet and alphabets as a whole. But yep, it is the first country that has the letter X in it, which makes it impossible for that country at all. Yep. Malawi has the letter W in it, which makes Malawi, of course, impossible to put in as well. Next is Mexico. Mexico has the letter X in it, which in this challenge, if you're from Mexico, this challenge is literally impossible because there's zero countries that start with the letter X. Maybe if Xinjiang becomes independent, you could put Xinjiang's flag, but that's not likely happening anytime soon. The next country that is impossible is Norway. Yep, Norway is the next impossible country. Again, there are zero countries that start with the letter W. Zero. Rwanda is the next one. No countries start with the letter W, so Rwanda is impossible. Sweden and Switzerland, both of these is impossible because there's no countries that start with the letter W as well. And that's the rest of the world. So the two letters with no countries in it. A lot of European countries are on this list, surprisingly. Several African countries and Mexico are mostly the countries, and a country in the Middle East, are mostly countries that are impossible in the right to country where you live and flags. Challenge. But what about the non-countries? Is there any non-countries that's, because of course you still have the Google flag emojis, are there any places in the world that start with X and W? Well, there is a territory that France holds called Willis and Fortuna, which really makes the only two countries to use Willis and Fortuna, well, Mexico and Luxembourg, are still impossible because there's literally no territory, no place, no country that starts with the letter X. No country that starts with the letter X. None. Okay? No country that starts with the letter X. None. So Luxembourg and Mexico, if you're from those two countries, this is basically impossible. Okay? This is basically an impossible challenge for you people in Luxembourg and for you people in Mexico, because your country still has the letter X in it, and the letter X, there's really no country or no place in the world that has the letter, starts with the letter X. At least W, they have Willis and Fortuna in Western Sahara, but no place. X is nowhere.